Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you to a very special presentation. What you're about to see is a dress rehearsal for my panel for Anime Boston 2013 Clannad. The place where wishes come true. For those of you that attended my panel last year, you guys got to see firsthand what a memorable experience it was. Well, for what I'm going to do this time, which I didn't get to do last time because I didn't have webcam at the time, was I'm going to give you a dress rehearsal of what I'm going to be doing at Anime Boston 2013. Um, for those of you that either will not be able to make it to Anime Boston 2013 or would just like to get sort of a preview of what's to come, well, this is for you. Just to give you a little bit of a disclaimer, if you're accessing this on Google Documents, even if you were to download it, you will notice that the music files will not work. I have downloaded the one I put up on Google Documents, and excuse me, the animations should work, but if they aren't working as they should, please either leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube or on WordPress, or send me a note or message on whatever other site you might be looking at this video on. But yeah. One other final thing is, if this video seems as odd to you, I would just want to stress that you need to be watching this while viewing the PowerPoint. So whether you have a PC or a Mac, you should download it from the using the link provided. If you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the video description. Otherwise, I'm pretty explicit on the link over in order to download the document. Now, without further ado, let's get this party started. Once again, I would like to welcome you guys to Anime Boston 2013. This year, I'd like to see you raise a hand for those of you that were here last year. So for those of you that are new this year, you guys take a look around and see how many, and see, yeah, there you go. All right. To those of you that were here last year and are back this year, I would like to extend a huge truckload of gratitude and appreciation. So you guys can definitely attest that this is going to be a mind-blowing experience. But just to make sure that you guys are not going to feel like this is just for the new guys, this year's panel is bigger and better than last year's. For those of you that missed last year's panel, one thing that I did was I showed episode 24 of After Story, which is a synopsis of the entire anime series. I'm not doing that this year for various reasons. Number one being, even though after researching it later, I would not have, neither me or Anime Boston would have been in trouble legally from what I did. I just want to be respectful of the fact that, it does cost money in order to localize the anime many of us have come to know and love. Whether regardless of what side of the argument that you're on, and yeah, that's as far as I'm going in terms of that discussion. So anyway, here we go. Oh, and by the way, the music you're hearing is straight from the anime. For those that I'm pretty sure are wondering, I did get the entire soundtrack for the anime series through legal means. You can go to the Japanese version of Amazon.com and download it, and just like with the getting the anime on DVD, it's well worth every penny. So we're just going to jump right into it. Now, we're going to go into the main question of what is Clannad? Originally a visual novel, Clannad is about high school students Tomoyo Okazaki, Nagisa Furukawa, and their friends in the fictional town of Hikarizaka. The visual novel focuses a bit more in depth on Tomoya's relationships with the various girls throughout, though they are touched on in the anime. Nagisa is Tomoya's girlfriend in the canon, though one can easily say the other possible outcomes would also be believable. Tomoya Sakagami is the only girl other than Nagisa to have an after story with her arc in the visual novel Tomoyo After. Now, just to clarify, for those of you that have only seen the anime, there is a visual novel, and there is also a manga series for Clannad. So, for example, I got a new laptop on Black Friday, and it was a Windows 8 computer. And one of the nifty apps that I was able to find for it is called Manga Tree. And the cool thing about this particular app is that you get access to oodles and oodles of manga free of charge, both in English and in Japanese. And as luck would have it, I was able to read the Clannad manga, and even though I haven't read all of them just yet, I've been able to see the differences between what the anime used and what was left out. But we'll get more in depth on a few choice characters that were left out a bit later on down the road. Now, for the new folks in the room who's like, what's there to like about Clannad? Well, here's your here you go. There's a very realistic feel to it. Not that many cliches. Easy on the fan service. A likable cast, obviously. Fuko, Yohei, and Akio. Enough said. No Mary Sue or Gary Sue characters, and if you want to know more about that in depth, check out my WordPress blog on fanfiction. I've written 2 blogs in detail about that. Hard to stop after the first episode. No, seriously, I have yet to meet anyone that didn't like Clannad after the very first episode. Like, there's just something about that that makes you want to keep watching. It speaks for itself. And of course, life lessons. I'm actually going to spend some time on this a bit later on, but being mindful of well, actually, I think let's just say that for later because yeah. Now we're going to go into the cast. Nagisa Furukawa and Tomoya Okazaki, the 2 main leads in the anime series. These 2 characters are they're the canon pairing, of course, and they're pretty awesome. I mean, and of course, I want to draw a bit of special attention to Tomoya. For those of you that are not aware, one of our special guests, David Matranga, is Tomoya's English voice actor. So, if you haven't run into him yet, and you do get the chance to meet him, be sure to thank him in person for the great work that he does, and keep up the awesome work. And of course, Nagisa Furukawa is voiced by Lucy Christian, but we'll get more into who else she is also the voice actress of in this particular anime a bit later on. Fuko Ibuki, no explanation necessary for those that know her. And I can't believe I forgot to fix the animation. This is actually a character that I think I left out when I did it last year, but it's Ushio Okazaki. And if the last name isn't obvious, she is the daughter of Tomoya and Nagisa. The Fujibayashi twins, Kyo and Ro, even though they have the same face, they couldn't be any more different. That's pretty much where the similarities end. I mean, Kyo is pretty hot-headed, and Ro is very easygoing. Though, considering I am currently working in kindergarten, it's pretty interesting that she's known she wanted to be a kindergarten teacher for a while. While Ro, meanwhile, has elected to become a nurse, which just seems to fit her personality more, in my opinion. Katomi Ichinose and Masai Sagara. Both of them have a pretty interesting story. In her particular arc, you find out that Katomi is a childhood friend of Tomoya, and we're going to talk about this a bit later on in this particular panel, but the question of whether or not Katomi actually fell in love with Tomoya can be debated till the cows come home. My personal opinion on that is they didn't really, she didn't really have a crush on him, but she was just happy that they became friends again, but we'll talk about that a bit more later on. As for Masai, Misai knows many of the older characters in the anime, and in her particular arc, you find out the story about this orange cat that you all see her with. But she does have a pretty interesting and compelling story. Yohei Tsunohara and Tomoyo Sakagami. Tomoyo is the only character to have their own extra story in very grand detail. And of course, Yohei's English voice actor is the ever talented Greg Ayers. So if you haven't seen him yet, give him some love. Also, Yohei is a pretty awesome guy, even though he's. You'll find out what makes his hair color so interesting when you see what his sister's hair looks like. Akio and Sanai, who again need no introduction, they are Nagisa's parents. And Akio takes over the role of comic relief in After Story after the kids graduated from high school. And Sanai is just Sanai. Mei Tsunohara, Yohei's younger brother. You can see that unlike her brother, she has black hair. And even though this is explained in the anime, Yohei dyed his hair blonde. But after he gets out of high school, he decides to let it go back to its natural black color. Yukina Miyazawa has a pretty tragic story, which is, I like to say it's akin to West Side Story, in the sense where she's in the middle of two rival gangs. And I'm not going to go into epic spoilers, so if you haven't read the manga involving her, the manga volume involving her, or haven't seen the episodes involving her, then you should check it out because it speaks a lot. It speaks a bit to the interesting side story, the underlying side story in the anime series. Other cast members include Yusuke Yoshino, Kuko Ibuki, Naoyuki Okazaki, which is the name of Tomoya's father. And by the way, one thing I noticed was that unless you were paying attention, you probably wouldn't have heard the name of Tomoya's father used at all. But it is mentioned when Tomoya's grandmother was telling him about his parents' past. The Girl in the Illusionary World, the Garbage Doll, and Kazuto Miyazawa are just a few more of the other cast members that make the anime and visual novel such awesome experiences. Now, in the next slide, we're going to get into a bit more in depth in these two characters, the Girl in the Illusionary World and the Garbage Doll. Connections between the worlds. I'm pretty sure those of you that were here last year saw something else here. Well, I figured I would do what few others would even consider and actually give you an explanation based on the information provided. Now I know the words are pretty small to read on a big screen, so I'll give you the transcript. The Girl in the Illusionary World and the Garbage Doll are actually Tomoya and Yushio. This is explained in detail in episode 22, Small Palms of After Story. The theory behind the illusionary world is explained throughout the series. Now here's a summary in short. Kutomi's parents believe there is a parallel universe that affects the real world. The Girl in the Illusionary World, Yushio, excuse me, and the Garbage Doll Tomoya she creates are believed to be from that world. The town of Ikarisaka has a legend in which an orb of light will appear before someone who achieves complete happiness. If someone can collect enough orbs of light, they will be granted a wish that will be granted by the orbs they collected. It seems I missed a typo there. It turns out the Yushio of the illusionary world created that world for the sole purpose of saving her father from the profound sadness he was destined to experience in the real world. It isn't until Small Palms that this is fully explained, and thus Tomoya, Nagisa, and Yushio finally get their happily ever after. Almost broke my tongue reading that for those 3 paragraphs so fast. Now I'll go on to the next slide. Life lessons. Ooh, this is a doozy. Excuse me for one moment. I had to grab some water. Life lessons. Now, it goes without saying that the events of April 15, 2013 will be etched in the minds of the people of Boston forever. Um, it is a very tragic event that has happened to our city, but if it isn't obvious by now, over a month later, we have decided that we're not going to let the unspeakable events of that day define our city. We are Boston, and we are strong. We are Boston strong, and let that be the last time I ever say that catchphrase in this panel ever again. But yeah, pretty much what it amounts to is bad things can and do happen to good people. I mean, one could say that what happened to Tomoya, Nagisa, Yohei, the twins, Katomi, and Tomoya were just a string of really bad coincidences, or just plain old bad luck. But it's not about what happens to you that defines who you are as a person or how people remember you. It's how you respond to those things. Um, for those of you that have been watching, may have seen some of my YouTube videos, you're aware that I have both autism and Tourette syndrome, and yet I've been working in education for the last 10 years. I also have a series of very serious physical health problems, but I'm not going to let those things define me as a person, and I'm not going to let those things dictate how I want to live my life. I just keep doing the best that I can do and keep moving forward. I mean, some people call me an inspiration. I just do what I do. Well, I'm going to open up the floor now to anyone that would like to share what life lessons that they found from watching the Clannad or reading the visual novel. So, just to give editor's note, this is where I'd open up the floor for those that would want to speak. Excuse me again. Last year, I think I gave about, what was it, 5-7 minutes. Quite a number of people actually came forward, and I'm glad I capped it at that point. So we're going to pretend that everyone has said their piece. Moving on. And here's what I came up with from watching the Clannad anime. Not all stories end with a happy ending. Life is hard, as I said during the previous slide. It's easy to give in to despair. Surround yourself with friends who will support you, and this is something that I've struggled with personally. Don't let your family's history define you, and this is something that I've also been struggling with. Love your parents and children. I don't have any kids, but I love my parents. There are some hardships you can't overcome alone. And again, this is something that I've been struggling with personally, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Don't be afraid to try something new. And this is something that most people do not think about. Though it doesn't hurt to try new things. And not all great people have gone to college. As of right now, I don't have my associates yet, but I have done some college work, and I'm pretty sure the work that I've done in the Boston public school system will be remembered forever, even after my time with BPS comes to an end. And yep, questions and answers. We'll open the floor now. If anyone's got any questions and answers so far over what they've seen so far about the Clannad, about the anime, etc., etc. So there you go. Now, as an editor's note, obviously, last year I allotted a huge block of time for this, even though at 2012, not a lot of people were just interested in seeing me do my thing, and that's quite all right. But still, I like to give myself a break, give the floor to the people. I mean, to the audience, and one question that someone had, the last question I will never forget from last year. I don't remember who it was, but he asked me, what are the only two places that you're allowed to cry? My answer, which is straight from the anime, in your father's arms or in the bathroom. Crowd went nuts. Moving on. Now we have an extra special something here, which is new for Anime Boston 2013. Clannad Trivia. And yep, the music really does set the mood. Now, before we get even too excited, there are a couple of trivia guidelines for this. Do not shout out the answers, and this is a rule that will be strictly enforced. We're also going to give the selected contestant the opportunity to answer. If you're stumped, you can ask someone for help. You can ask me clarifying questions. I will avoid calling on the same person or persons as much as possible. And the prize is bragging rights because it's just Clannad trivia. Maybe I'll do something next year. Maybe. Now here's a warm-up question to get you guys pumped. What language does the word Clannad originate from? Is it A, Japanese, B, Irish, C, Gaelic, or D, Dutch? All right. Correct answer, Gaelic. And this is actually something that I had to look up, that I asked around. I didn't actually look this up. I asked a few folks I know that were fluent in Japanese, Irish, Gaelic, and Dutch, and I got a hit in Gaelic. Clannad is in Gaelic, literally translates. Clannad literally translates. Clannad is what the word clan comes from, and that is the root. Its roots are from Gaelic, which is in what is present day the United Kingdom, if I recall my history correctly. There you go. For those of you that missed the answers, don't worry. We're going to review the answers later on in the slideshow, later on after the trivia's questions are over. Now, question 1, and this is where it gets real. What does Nagisa say when she feels nervous? Is it A, baka, B, dongatsu, C, banzai, or D, anpan? All right, correct answer is anpan. She says dongatsu when she feels embarrassed. I've never heard her say baka or banzai, though. Now, question 2, true or false? Katomi is fluent in English in high school. Now, this is not a trick question. If you've been reading, if you only saw it in Japanese, or if you only watched the dub, then this might confuse you a bit. But I'll open the floor and see what you guys think before the answer is revealed. All right. So by a show of hands, who thinks it's true? By a show of hands, who thinks it's false? All right. The answer is true. And here's the evidence that I'm going to provide to back up why it's true. At the end of Katomi's arc, she is given a letter that is written in English. Yohei and Tomoya look at the glance of the letter, and they both say that they can't read it, which indicates to me that that this letter is likely in English. As for why English, not another language, it's expressed that Katomi's parents were going to America for a conference, so naturally, you wouldn't be really be wrong to assume that the letter that she gets back in the briefcase would be in English. So there you go. Question 3. Which of the following does not become a love interest of Tomoya? A, Ro, B, Katomi, C, Tomoya, or D, Nagisa? Now remember, notice what's been underlined. Which of the following does not become a love interest of Tomoya? Oh man, this is good. All right. Survey says Katomi. Now you might remember what I said a little while back when, on the cast list. My theory on that is, and this is actually something that I debated with on the Clannad wiki last year. If you were to carefully examine both the manga, the visual novel, and the anime, you will notice that unlike the other candidates, Katomi does not actually express her love to him, or express an interest in him in a romantic way. I mean, Ro does, even though she doesn't in the main storyline, but Katomi never actually does. I mean, like me, she's pretty awkward in social situations. So yeah, though. Well, yep, there we go. Now that I'm really thinking about it, I can't really recall Kutomi actually showing an interest in him romantically. The question 4: What is the name of Tomoya's mother? Is it A. Sanai, B. Atsuko, C. Isogai, or D. Misai? Now this is a pretty difficult one, I will admit, because unless you were unless you um have seen this subbed, you probably won't know the answer to this unless you have either A, looked it up online, or B, have watched the anime subbed. Then you probably will not know what the answer to this is. I don't want to, and I'm pretty sure all of you know that. Oh, okay. You already know who three of them are, so that obviously, yeah, it is B, Atsuko. And I'm in the habit of watching DVDs with the subtitles on, whether it's an anime or a movie, just to make sure I don't miss anything. And as luck would have it, that's my fun on what the name of Tomoya's mother was. Number 5, true or false? Yushio and Nagisa shared the same birthday. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to look at this up before I decided to put this one on here. But before I tell you you already know what Nagisa's birthday is. So before I reveal the answer, I'm gonna show of hands how many of you think that they share the same birthday, and how many of you think they don't. Survey says true. Nagisa and Yusha were both born on December 24th. Only they are born several years apart, obviously. Question 6. Which of the following characters is voiced by Greg Ayers? Well, I'm just going to breeze through this since I already told you the answer earlier. Well, on second thought, I take that back. Let's see what you remember. Let's see if anyone who remembers. Yep, you got it. Yohei. Question 7. Which of the following have a significantly older or younger sibling? Is it A, Nagisa and Tomoya, B, Ro and Kyo, C, Tomoyo, Yohei, and Fuko, or D, none of the above? Remember, process of elimination. You already know it can't possibly be A or B. Alright. Correct answer? C. Excuse me. Correct answer is C, and here's why. Tomoyo, you already know about Takafumi, Tomoyo's younger brother. Well, in Tomoyo After, she has a significantly younger sister named Tomo. Yohei has a younger sister named Mei, and Fuko has a much older sister named Kuko. So there you go. Question 8. Which of the following former love interests were never dumped by Tomoya in any arc? Is it A, Nagisa, his wife, B, Mei Tsunohara, C, Sanai, or D, Ro? Process of elimination, you know it couldn't possibly be A or C. And, okay, I think I just gave you the answer. It's B, Mei. Even though they haven't had a one-time, even though they had a one-night stand kind of thing, they never actually broke up, quote unquote, if you know what I mean. Number 9, true or false? Kotomi never fell in love with Tomoya. I already explained my reasoning for this one, so we'll go through it again. How many of you think she never did? And how many of you don't? There we go. Did? No, don't. All right. Answer is true, and I already explained mine in another conference and with another previous question. So we're moving on. Number 10. Which of the following characters doesn't have a family member mentioned by name in the anime or the visual novel? This is something that only those that really know their Clannad trivia would probably know the answer to. A. Kitomi Ichinose, B. Chimoyo Sakagami, C. Ro and Kyo, Or D. Yukine Miyazawa? Well, Katomi's parents are both mentioned by name, even though we only see Katomi's mother's face in the anime. Tomoyo has a younger brother who is mentioned in a flashback and during her arc in the first season, and of course, for Yukine talks about her older brother who remarkably resembles him during her arc. So the answer would have to be Ro and Kyo. Of course, they are sisters, but um, no one else and no family, none of their family members are actually mentioned at all during at least from what I've been reading so far. So I could be wrong, but at the time that I put these questions together, we know nothing about their family. And here's the final question: true or false? Huh. I just realized again I gave away the answer. Nagisa and Yushio have different English voice actors. Again, true. How many of you think it's true? And how many of you think it's false? Survey says false. And there she is. That, my friends, is the face behind the voice, Lucy Christian. And here's a bonus question, since you already know he's in the house. For legal reasons, I decided not to use the word Jeopardy in this particular PowerPoint, so it's pretty much the same idea. Question the answer. David Matranga. A. Akio Furukawa's voice actor is. Tomoya Okazaki's voice actor is. C. Kazuto Miyazawa's voice actor is. Or D. Yohei Tsunohara's voice actor is. This is pretty obvious. There you go. You know, when you look at them together, they kind of do look this. They kind of have a strong resemblance to each other. I mean, if you can look past the fact that Tomoya has blue hair. There you go. Now here's a review of the answers. For those of you that missed that just walked in during the quiz, we were playing some Clannad trivia, and these are the answers to all the questions except for the warm-up question. Now moving on, Clannad is available on Netflix. Well, just After Story, since unfortunately, well, actually, only After Story is available on Netflix for reasons known only to Netflix. Season 1 is no longer available. Though you can watch After Story in its entirety on Netflix. You can also get Clannad and Clannad After Story on DVD and Blu-ray, as well as on iTunes and the PlayStation Network in full. Now me, I have Clannad and Clannad After Story on DVD, not Blu-ray, so the other options don't really apply to me all that much. Though I will say that I paid Sheldon $40 each for each season. It was well worth every penny in my opinion. And also, if you're gonna watch, you can't really watch Clannad After Story without watching the first season anyway. So yeah. You could also get both seasons in full on iTunes at the same price as on DVD. And you can also, I think they're $2 each on both iTunes and the PlayStation Network if you want to download them those ways. Well, keep in mind, if you get them from the PlayStation Network, you need to put them on a PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, or PSP. Either I have a PSP Go personally, so that doesn't really affect me all that much. But you get what I'm saying. In iTunes, it's pretty obvious. You can only either play them back on your computer or play them back on an iOS device. And if you like Clannad, try Angel Beats, which was also made by Key. You can watch this entire series in full on Netflix, and even though it's only 13 episodes long, not 13. Yeah, I believe it's 13 episodes long. Even though it's short in comparison, and it's a lot of the magic from Clannad can be found in this anime series as well. And both David Matranga and Lucy Christian lend their voices in the English version of this anime as well. You can also try one of these two, which have some similar themes to Clannad. I mean, School Rumble, Lucy Christian is a voice actor in that. Lucy Christian is Voiced one of the two leads. Caitlin Glass, the voicing the other lead. Chenma Scamacho. Um, and Oron High School Host Club. Raise your hands if you don't know what that is. And Lucy Christian plays Hani Nozuka, which is pretty awesome. And Luke and Vic Magnioga is the voice of Tamaki Senpai. And I don't want to go too off topic, so check them out. Both of which can also, well, actually, School Rumble is no longer available on Netflix, which is pretty frustrating to me. Which is because that was where I originally saw it. Though Oron High School Host Club still is on Netflix, so if you've got Netflix instant streaming, feel free to check it out. If you like Clannad and you enjoyed today's panel, check out this fan fiction of mine. And I want to give a very special thanks to a friend of mine who unfortunately couldn't make it to this year's Artist Alley, who did the artwork for me. But I want to thank her publicly again for this, Amanda Wallace. And here's an overview of Clannad: A Wonderful Life by me, Mr. Orbolt. It takes place a year after After's story. When Nagisa becomes pregnant again, Tomoya's memories of Ushio's birth and the other arc return again. The old game gets together and few things come to a head. Yohei proposes to Tomoya again. Kyuko and Yusuke welcome a new baby. Katomi wins the Nobel Prize, and Ro Fujibayashi is getting married. Fuku's forgotten memories during their high school days seem to be returning, but her memories of Ushio are disappearing. Is Fuku developing amnesia, or is something else happening? A bit of warning: if you do decide to check this out, disregard the overview, because I ended up changing the story so it's nothing like what's described in the overview. Well, except for Nagisa, except for the Okazaki family welcoming a new baby, and Ro getting married. Aside from that, and Katani winning a Nobel Prize, but anyway, it speaks for itself. Though if that isn't enough for it, here's a sneak peek. I'm obviously not going to give you the whole thing, so here are some excerpts from Chapter 1. Alright. So, an excerpt from Chapter 11. And again, if you can't read it, I apologize, but I'm going to link you over at the end of this so that you can, or if you want to hang around after the panel is over, you can get a link over to check it out in full. And I'm pretty sure this might be extremely difficult to read on the big screen, and again, tremendous apologies. And Chapter 4, this is from Chapter 14, a chat which I just did a couple of months ago. The chapter after this one, Chapter 15, by the way, I dedicated to the people of Boston, to my great city of Boston. And it's worth checking out if you haven't yet. My final thought: Clannad is awesome. Life is beautiful. And even though what happened last month in Boston was a travesty, and over 200 people were maimed for nothing, and 4 people died for nothing, in my opinion. As weird as it may sound, at the same time, it showed the country and the world that the people of Boston are strong people. As I said on my WordPress blog, the very next day, back to business as usual. We've been knocked down, but we don't stay down. We're used to be taking a few lumps, and even though what happened last month was more like a sucker punch than anything else, we brushed it off, and we're getting right back into the swing of things. We're not going to let what happened we're not going to let what happened last month define us. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me that Boston is never going to recover from that, because as far as I'm concerned, it did the very next day. I mean, excluding those that were personally affected, and if you are in this audience, I once again want to express my wish you guys a speedy recovery and the best with life. But I'm in the strong belief that with support you can get through anything, and you just gotta be willing. You just gotta find that will to live. You know. Don't miss my other panel, and I apologize for this. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, this is dated information. The top part, anyway. If you'd like to get in touch with me, there's a link to my main blog. If you are watching this, if you downloaded this podcast in advance and you already have this information, obviously, you can also follow me on Twitter at Brennan2K5 and/or Serene Adventure. Those are both mine, and I do check both of them. My email address is btboston1@gmail.com. That is also my iTunes ID. If you would like to follow me, I have an iPod Touch 4th Gen. And my Xbox Live gamer tag is Orbolt. There you go. I'd like to thank you guys again for coming out to see my panel. You guys have been a great audience. I'd like to wish you guys the best, and enjoy the rest of Anime Boston, and I will see you guys next year. You guys have a good evening, and look forward to doing this again next year. Okay, that concludes this rehearsal. Reviewing that panel in full really gave me a lot of insight in what needs to be changed and what needs to be adjusted, which was the main point that I did it this way. So tell me what you think. Leave the comments on, because if you're coming to the panel, then this is going to help me give you a better experience when I do it live next month. So there you go. Doing a time check, excluding the intro that I did at the very beginning, that ran to about 40 minutes. Now, keeping in mind that that this is just a dress rehearsal, that's actually very encouraging. Because as I mentioned during the dry run, I cheated a bit in order to fill in 20 minutes. So knowing that I won't need to do that is a big relief. And that's all kinds of awesome sauce. So anyway, yeah, if you're gonna make it to Anime Boston, it's just you're gonna see something really awesome. And if you're not, then I hope you like the show. And if you watch this video without reading the panel, then I'm pretty sure you were confused as to what in the heck I was doing. I actually had the PowerPoint open while this was in record, so I hope that explains why I wasn't looking at the camera most of the time. But anyway, yeah. I'm not gonna do another dress rehearsal, but I am gonna link this. But this video will be linked to from my threads in the Anime Boston forums. It's because your feedback will be extremely important in giving you a better performance. So the more feedback I get, the better. And I'm also hoping that I'm going to be starting a new trend in which those that might want to know what to tweak and what they can do to fine-tune their panels ahead of time, well, this is something they can do. I mean, usually you would see someone's panel after the con. Well, I think I might be the first, if not one of the first, to do it before the con even started. So there you go. Well, anyway, again, I hope you guys enjoyed the dress rehearsal here, and if you can make it, I look forward to seeing you there. And otherwise, you'll be seeing more. You will be seeing you. I might be doing one more video for another panel, for one of my other panels, should they get accepted. There you go. Hopefully I'll find out before May 15th if my other two panels would have been approved or not, but we'll see. Speaking of which, little Ruda just welcomed a new baby into the family, so he is in charge of panel and programming at Anime Boston, so extra patience is one of the things that he's called for in light of that, and I wish him and his family only the best of luck with that. once again, for those of you that have been sending a lot of love to Boston, it's much appreciated, and um, support is greatly appreciated. You guys have a good weekend, and you guys stay loose, have a good time, and I'll see you in another podcast.